brother Excel just today, and I just want to get his view on maybe the Gen Z's, the attitude towards the relationships, the long-lasting relationships, marriages like that. I know he has something to say in that regard. So please, Excel, over to you.
Okay, so good day wherever I'm watching from. My name's Excel. So I was met and I was asked about the topic of marriage and if I'm interested in getting married anytime soon, and what's the difference between her generation and the generation Z, yeah, Gen Zs. I would say that the key difference is family orientation. The older generation was more family centered. They wanted to start a family early. They wanted to have kids that they would train, and they wanted to be, very involved in the marriage. They didn't have plans that this marriage is going to break. But now it's me situation. Many people when they talk about relationships, you hear them talking about me. You hear a lot of I in it. So the burden is no more split. Then, if a woman said, okay, she's a stay-at-home wife, you would know that your kids are getting raised well, at least, so you can go out there and hustle. And that would be the case. But now, if someone says they are a stay-at-home person, it usually ends in tears. And it's not like the kids are being raised well. That is for the Gen Z females. Then for the Gen Z men, and then again, just to also state that there's an exception to every rule. So not everyone is like this, but yeah, majority. For the men, I think some are products of how the economy is going now. So they are asking themselves how they are going to sustain a home, with what they are earning. And some of them too are self-centered. Some have imbibed habits that are not good for a family. Example, the ones who even have the money, some of them, got the money from illegal practices, either the ones that maybe did Yahoo Yahoo or whatnot. So such people who are so used to lying for a living, they are used to a certain lifestyle with certain types of friends. When they get married, you can't expect them to tell you the truth. You can't expect them to just want one
So be
woman as a
straightforward.
wife. So the lifestyle that they are used to is not it's not family oriented in any way. So
So
at the
sorry,
end of the day,
the Gen Z, would they tolerate such a person? Do you think they would tolerate such a person?
many of them tolerate themselves. So there's a very wicked combo that goes. You have someone who came from the place where she was maybe doing hookup, and then she eventually met someone who is doing chi. Like I know a couple, and I used to know the guy in school, and he eventually told me how he like met the lady, and I'm like, wow. And today they are married, and I'm like, Now the thing is that God can intervene, but that relationship, I don't know, because he himself somehow married to a good guy and is a problem. Married to a good guy and is a problem. Same thing with a guy, he has lived a reckless life where all he does is sleep around, and then all of a sudden, the switch doesn't just happen, and then you say you want to stick to just one person. So these are some of the issues. There are many more, but for me now, not a perfect, because no marriage is perfect, but a good marriage would just have to come from two people who have godly backgrounds
Right.
and sane backgrounds. So they are taught the principles of work.
Same background, right?
Yes, they are taught the principle of work. They are taught the principle of family. They are taught that yes, it may not always be rosy, but this is how you stick to it. They also have it in mind that divorce is not the way forward. Divorce is a sin. Such people are still getting married. They are still out there.
Except on the ground of maybe
Except on the ground of infidelity
or
and then domestic violence, threat to life.
hello, is it fidelity?
Yes. So,
That's for women. That's like when women are involved, or not women are involved.
for me, as if a woman decides to leave because the man is unfaithful, it's a valid ground.
But it doesn't happen now.
It hardly happens.
Who will it tell? If you meet your father, he will say, sit down.
It's true, but it shouldn't be so. Like, there are mistakes, so, and I'm not saying that any mistakes should be pardoned, but the different thing when somebody he's an executive, he went out, they had a large meeting, and then somehow he fell into temptation, and he comes and says, "Oh, yes, I slept with somebody. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not going to happen again." But it's not the same as when someone has side chicks in different states because he travels, and each time he goes here, it's one. When he goes here, it's another one, and he believes that his wife will understand. I don't think that one is acceptable.
Okay, so
It's better they go their separate ways before he will bring affection and give her, and then they
that
spread.
is it.
You
See,
know.
that is it. That is it. Infection, right? That is it. That is it. So, so we're saying that our own time, they are more kind of family oriented.
Yes.
Would I say tolerant?
Yes, they are more tolerant then, and but it's not as if some things didn't happen then, no,
Yeah.
because we still see cases now where somebody's like a 65-year-old man coming out saying that people are telling him his child looks like their manager or their pastor or their somebody, and then he now went to do DNA test, and then people are like, which means all these things used to happen back then. It's just that there was no camera, there was no social media to amplify it. So yes, there were issues like that, but you cannot compare the rates. You cannot compare the rates. These days, some people get married and divorced under 5 years, which I don't know. Doesn't make it better if people divorce after 20 years, but many times when the slope of marriage is up, down, up. Once you've gone through the first 10 years, it becomes much harder to break. Some people don't even let themselves reach that milestone. They're just like, I've given it my all. Then you hear people who, especially those who married young, they'll say, I'm still young. Maybe I married at 22, I'm 32 now. And if I leave this person, I'd still, get married again or that kind of thing. So there's a lot of wisdom and the grace of
So
God.
what's the advice for the youngsters? Those who are maybe afraid to go into relationships, I'm talking about marital,
No, the thing is, if you're able, like you have the capacity financially and you have developed mentally, you have a career going for yourself. Sometimes you may not have all the money in the world, but you have a career and you have a trajectory, you have a plan for yourself.
Okay.
And at least you could take care of, how I look at it is, can you take care of yourself and 3 other people for the next 5 years? That's how I look at it. Even if you are just eating only food, you are not buying new things. If you can do that for the next 5 years, I can say you can get married because, people may give birth, so you may have 2 extra mouths to feed, and many things come up. So if you have that, you can get married. But the thing is, not just that. I'm talking about the financial and economic aspect. The other thing is, do you have the character? There is a character that makes for marriage. So I would say if you want to get married now, find someone that has the same values with you.
Yes, core values.
Core values. Ask questions, because if you don't ask questions, people just believe that.
So no assumption.
Yes, no assumption. So ask questions. And then ultimately still, good evening, still committed to the hands of God, because ultimately He knows best. Sometimes somebody ticks all the boxes and you don't have the spirit of discernment. You get into it and find out that you've gotten into a mess. And given the fact that, if not necessarily given the fact, if you're a believer, you know that divorce is a last resort, so you must make your decision very, very wisely, and then play your part. So be ready to play your part, because it's work.
So your advice for the young people, so that's what I'm saying.
Yes, my advice is be ready to work, because it is work. Pray about it and get someone with the same core values.
The same core values, belief system, right?
Yes, belief system. And the reason why I say core values is that those things help, apart from faith, because God can tell you that somebody is for you, and yet you don't believe that there's work involved, or people don't have the same family values, and that just spoils it. There's a couple that got divorced over something very simple: who will leave whose church to the other person's church.
Okay, church, right?
Yes.
So that means this is even church issue.
Yes.
Not talk about maybe a different religion.
They must discuss. For me, it's important that people have long dates, talk about everything, because if those people had talked and the man had said, "Oh, you leave your church, right, when we get married," and she said yes, that would have just ended everything. But he just assumed that, okay, she would leave her church and come to his church. Besides, his church was a good church, and maybe she just believed that he would leave her in her own church. Then they'll be going to their churches secretly, and when they come back home, they meet. The middle ground I know people do for that kind of thing is that they get married in the ladies' church for the marriage, and then after marriage, all of them start going to the man's church. So that's just an example that even among Christians, that sometimes just small issues that are left undiscussed.
Number of children.
Yes, number of children too. Yes, there are people who have
Whether you can relocate or not.
True, relocation as well. Someone said, "Oh, she cannot live in the cold," and the man is like, "Oh, I want to go and live in Canada," and she's like, and we cannot live apart. And after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they couldn't manage the long distance relationship. I think someone started cheating somewhere, and they broke up. So all those kind of things. I just think that the person you marry should be someone who maybe didn't start off as your friend, but has become your friend.
Has become your friend. Yes. Become your friend.
Yeah, because the ones who start off as friends sometimes they never reach marriage because of friend zone. But the one who they like themselves and then they talk and they have become friends, easier for them.
Okay, so what if somebody have people that watch this and they say, I like the way this my brother is talking. I want to reach out. If they connect me, I will look for you definitely.
No problem.
I said we like you. It's well. Thank you very much.
You're
so
welcome, man.
God will help us and help our young ones. God will help everybody. Patience is needed. Love, agape love is needed.
True.
And then the core value system must be must be investigated, and then communication skills very very important.
Communication
Be able to if you're not somebody that you feel that is high up there that you can't relate to, then that's no. So okay, in a nutshell, you pray about it and then marry your mate, marry your friend. Should
marry your friend, yes. Wisdom of communication. They may not, sometimes someone may not be your mate to some certain extent. Sometimes you can marry someone who inspires you. So they are not like your mate to an extent, but let it be that they are not too high up there. So they don't look down on you. Yes, and at the same time they don't stifle your growth. So some men, another thing that's supposed to marriage is that some men don't have trajectory for their life like that, and then we want to keep their wife at that same place. We don't want her to go too high.
Lower.
Yes, we want to keep her lower, and that's sometimes the marriage crashes. So there are so many things that one would need to do in the school of marriage. So before you get married, just a lot of counseling is going to be needed. So do the needful. That's just it.
Okay, thank
because
you.
People do 5 years for school, for PhD, or at the end of the day they have done like 10 years, and this to learn about something that you do maybe 8 hours a day, and then marriage is all the days of your life. So give it time. If it's and even before you meet the person you want to marry, you could learn enough about marriage so that when people meet, there's less to learn.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, viewer, you've had it all. See you next time. God bless you. Thank you.
All right.
I want to connect.